First of all, we're going to click Create Bots. We'll click on Start from Template. And you'll see here I'm in New and Updated. And you'll see within here I've got the Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrade. I can click on Learn More. It's going to call out here an important warning to say that the bot template contains logic to execute the Microsoft Upgrade Assistant. In other words, it's not our agent doing the download. It's we're effectively handing over to Microsoft at the time where we say go install this update. So we download the 500 or so K update assistant, but then once that's launched, it's configured to run silently. It's going to download the full multi-gigabyte binaries from that perspective, and it's going to go out direct. So again, if you need to there might be considerations there depending on proxy configuration. It's not going to use our bandwidth controls or our peer-to-peer. So of course it is possible if you want to leverage our app distribution capabilities, you can modify the logic within the bot. So you might choose to download it to a preferred server. You might choose to actually execute the updates using an app distribution stage within bots instead. So of course all of that's possible. It's just there's really two reasons there. One is that when it comes to edge devices that are not on the corporate network, they're remote devices, you're likely going to want those to be able to handle the upgrade directly. And two, where you have multiple solutions in play, obviously that's challenging to templatize. So for the starting point, our template contains the kind of self-handling logic, but do be aware that each endpoint is going to download those binaries independently. So you can go and click create. That's going to create the bot. So Windows 11 migration. So we'll give it a name. And once that bot's created, you'll see within there the logic. Again, there's as we saw, there is quite a lot going on in there. We've run through the overall logic and flow on that one. But all you have to do to deploy this is click on custom action, turn it on. By default, it's going to be available in the single device view. But from a rollout perspective, it's likely handy to be able to execute against multiple devices. So that's where we're going to enable it there. Of course, you can always run the bot within the bot's experience at multiple device level. This just means it's going to be exposed as a custom action when you multi-select two or more devices. So at this point, I can go and give it a name, Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrade. I can give it a description that will show up to analysts that hover the mouse over. Then I can go and click Save and Publish. So once I click Save and Publish, I could give this a category and a comment. At this point, I'm just going to go click Save and Publish. And now the bot is published as a custom action. It's ready to use. And I can actually go and navigate to a device to have a look at it from that one-on-one perspective. I'm going to navigate using the global search to find my test device here. And this is actually, it says it's running Windows 11. I have just rolled back the snapshot to Windows 10. So we've not run an inventory scan after I've done that to go and update within here. But I'm going to go now and find my new bot within here, and I'm going to click run. And this is where you've got the ability to choose a behavior. So do I want to assess only? Do I want to do an assess and upgrade, or do I want to upgrade immediately without using those Teams interactions? I've also got a force reassessment option within here. Now this is useful if I've already run the assessment and I've already stored the fact that I've run an assessment, but maybe I've made a change. So potentially a use case here is I've run an assessment on a virtual machine and the virtual machine has passed the check because of TPM. Now TPM, if you want TPM support within a virtual machine, if you're running on a VMware hypervisor, I believe there's a virtual TPM that can be downloaded that will emulate a TPM. If you're on Hyper-V, then there's a separate option there to pass through the TPM. Once you do that step, then the TPM assessment will be met. So as long as there's no other conditions within there, then you're good to proceed and upgrade to Windows 11. But of course, if you've already done an assessment and it's failed and you want to force a reassessment within the logic of the bot, we have that option within here. So at this point, I can go and click Assess Only, and I can go and click Run. That's going to go and run the bot against this device, and you'll see immediately as it runs, I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger. As that goes and runs, it's going to dispatch a bot within there. So it's new assessment, and you can see here it has detected it's Windows 10. So we're on the right base operating system to support an update, but there's of course additional checks in there. We need to check things like the CPU, the memory, the TPM, secure boot, and everything else within there. Now it's determined that this device is Windows 11 compatible. Now, if it had deemed that it wasn't compatible, you'd get a separate log message stage for each reason it wasn't compatible. In this case, I just get one message in here saying, is it compatible? True. The reason, well, there's no reason because it's compatible. So reason null. So what's going to happen at this point? It's going to trigger an inventory sync. That's going to go off. I can actually dismiss this. I can come back to that in a little bit. But just to show you what happens when that data comes back up, we're going to populate data in the Windows registry, trigger the inventory scan. Now, because I've already run it against this device, I've already going to have results within here. And then there's going to be two fields that are in there. So one is, are you Windows 11 compatible? If you're not compatible, what are the reasons? And so there's a good reason why we want to store the attributes here within the inventory record. The primary one there is that these results are always available, whether the device is online or offline, which means that I can use those attributes there to go and create a group. So within there, I've got a group here called Windows 11 compatible. The rules for that group is that you are, well, in this case, it is you've got that attribute in place. Now, likely what I would do is I'd combine that with are you on Windows 10? So that means that devices that are compatible will fall into this group. Once we're upgraded to Windows 11 and the inventory scans run, they'll fall back out of that group because they're on Windows 11. Again, once that inventory had run, this will revert back to being Windows 10, so that will still be in flight on that bot. But with that said, let's go and run through that bot again. And this time we'll run it in upgrade mode. So this time I'm going to find that same device again. I'm going to go and invoke that bot again. And this time I'm going to say assess and upgrade with user interaction. And I'll force that reassessment in there. So that's now going to run. And within here, we have previously assessed, but we're going to perform a new assessment because we force that through. So that very similar to last time, that's going to run the same session in there. And you can see in here, user interaction, checking whether the user's already deferred and assessing available disk space. So at this point, if we'd kicked off the install, then for some reason the user had quit out of it for some reason, this is where just running the bot again is going to check and pick up where that left off. We have got sufficient disk space on this device, so we're going to carry on. And the user hasn't previously deferred the bot interacting with the user with Teams, and you probably heard the noise come from the other device on here. And so we see we've just had these two messages delivered. So first of all, we're letting the user know, as we saw in the screenshot before, can we perform the upgrade now? So of course I could defer this, in which case it'd remind me again tomorrow. In this case, I'm actually going to click upgrade now. And so the upgrade is going to send a signal back to the bot, and it's saying, okay, we're initiating the updates and letting users know that they need to save their work. The device will reboot and it may take some time. But at this point, we can anticipate about a 45-minute wait on this particular hardware and device. Again, up to customers if they want to refine this messaging and kind of offer additional steps in here. This is just a template after all. And so while that runs through, again, within here, we can follow the process which is happening in there. The user selected to upgrade now. The installation assistant is complete. And actually, if we have a look on the device itself, you can go and open the task manager in there. And what you're going to see is actually easier if you go into the details tab and maybe sort by. So when the actual update kicks off, you'll see there the Windows 10 Upgrader app in there is going to kick off. And it's using a bit of CPU. It's mostly using network in there though as well. So again, you can sort on your network and see there that's using a fair bit of bandwidth, and indeed that's going to take a good 15 or 20 minutes to download, and that's again gonna take a little while, and that will continue to provide updates as they come in. So let's go now and have a look at the actual bot logic itself and see where that is up to. So if I go into bots, I can click on the trigger history, which is a handy way to get to recently run bots. So you can see up here, I've got my Windows 11 migration bot. I can click in on this and you can see the different logics. So first of all, again, we come in and first of all see whether we've already done the assessment or not. We can see the check for Windows 10. We can see the Windows 11 compatible check. If it wasn't compatible, it would have gone down this right-hand branch, but because it was compatible, it went down the left-hand branch, which is where we're recording the fact it's compatible. This for each block here is where we are. If you weren't compatible, we would write out each reason why within that feedback window. And then we just retrieve the overall compatibility status so that we're able to pass that in and create that registry path within there. So the registry path is a hard-coded location that's picked up by our inventory scanner. So once we trigger the inventory scanner, we're going to pull those records in, and we're going to confirm that the assessment's been performed. So because we ran it in the mode to actually trigger the update with user interaction, we're going to go down this right-hand branch here. We're going to make sure we're compatible with Windows 11, and then we're going to do the disk space check. We are going to, if we need to do the disk space check, we'll go down this branch. All the badge numbers here are 0 because we actually met the criteria, which means we go down this diagonal path. And this is where we're feeding back to say we're checking whether we've previously deferred or not. If we have previously deferred, we jump straight into running the update again. If we haven't, we go to that Teams message in here. So the Teams message is introducing to the user, asking the user if they want to update now or not. If the user had either ignored it or they'd said, remind me tomorrow, we have a delay for a day. Of course, that can easily be changed. Goes on to the next message. It says you can defer it one more time. Do you want to upgrade now or defer it another day? If they ignore or click defer, again, it's going to wait another day and then go into the Teams interaction. You could keep that going for as long as you want, or increase the delays, or any permutations of the above. Either way, at some point, each stage has that link back that when the user clicks do it now, or finally, when it gets to the last stage there and times out, it's going to move on to that, okay, I'm going to do something about it. This is where we let the user know we're going to download it. At this point, the results come together. There's an optional flow within here, so this link's disabled. So you could enable this link and disable the other link, and that is just to run some PowerShell to pop up the web page for the interactive installation assistant. So if you've got power users, you want them to be totally in control and able to orchestrate it and able to see any error messages that are returned in real time and things like that. That's just a handy thing to have within the template that you can enable, but by default, that's not going to be used. So instead, what we do is we just make sure we've got a temporary folder on the C drive to download the installation assistant, which is pretty tiny. We download it, and then before we kick that off, we just do some PowerShell to check whether the device is on AC power or not. So if it's not applicable and the device is on AC, or it is a laptop and it is on AC, we just keep on going. But if it determines that the device is on battery, then we display a toast notification to the user to say, hey, plug in, we're about to kick off the update. And then we'll wait 5 minutes, give them a bit of a grace period to go and plug in. And then we'll go and trigger a silent install. The important thing here is admin needs to understand that there's an automatic EULA acceptance flag within here. So the condition of using a template is that is accepted. And then we're going to delay for an hour. So once we tell it to do the install, like I say, in my case, this step takes us about 45 minutes. So we're just going to delay for an hour before we check back to see whether it's upgraded or not, to allow some time to actually download and install. We're going to check whether the device is on Windows 11. If it is, then we're going to just get the uptime. If it's not on Windows 11, we're just going to wait an additional day, and then we're going to join. And once we've done that, then we're going to send that final login message to confirm the status. We are going to send a Teams message to the end user to confirm they have successfully upgraded to Windows 11 to close the loop with them. And then we're also going to trigger an inventory scan to make sure that we update the status of the device inventory record to reflect the fact it's on Windows 11. And finally, we're going to send out an email report with some CSV attributes in there to confirm the devices that have been upgraded to Windows 11. So with that said, you can see here at the moment that we're currently in that delay cycle at the moment. I can click into that one, and you can see that that delay state was entered at about 1 p.m., which is about 6 minutes ago. So it's that bot is next going to unfreeze in about an hour's time, which we'll then go and check whether we've actually finished the upgrade or not. And again, I can go over to this device and see it It's still underway with the Windows Installation Assistant. And so that process will carry on until it's complete. So at some point, that session will automatically reboot. When it comes back up, it'll be Windows 11. User will receive their Teams message. And then once the bot's complete, once all the active devices are complete within that trigger, the email triggers will be processed. So again, these email triggers will show in a pending state up until the bot's finished, and those are special case triggers that finish when all devices have finished all of the stages. Then those triggers are processed just to make sure we have all the results in. I did want to show another example in here of that post Windows 11 upgrade survey. So again, this is using a survey type of bot. So within here, after we've done the Windows 11 upgrade, we've got the ability to again get a fresh snapshot of information out of there. We can interact with the user, say we've made a change to your device, we've upgraded to Windows 11, want to understand your ability to be productive. We can pass that information in, collect any free-form sentiment to get some context, see if we need any assistance from IT to resolve issues. If they do, we can go and create a ticket. We can close the loop with the user. We can also see if the user wants to learn more about Windows. We can render a hyperlink and everything in there so the user has what they need, store that information with the server. And then, of course, we can capture that information, look at the survey results. We get that generative AI analysis. We get all of the questions in there. We can understand the different sentiment of those free-form responses in there and understand which users potentially need following up. And then we would have a ticket associated with them as well.